I set my security badge down on Bryce Sterling's mahogany desk at 3:47 p.m. on a Thursday. 20 years of keeping Aurora Aerospace locked down, reduced to a piece of plastic with a photo that made me look like I'd been punched in both eyes. The badge reader beeped one last time as I walked past it. Almost sounded like it was laughing. My name is Wade Garrison. I'm 51 years old, and until about 10 minutes ago, I was the guy who made sure nobody walked out of Aurora Aerospace with blueprints for stealth radar systems stuffed in their lunchbox. Now I was unemployed, carrying a cardboard box with my stress ball shaped like a radar dish and a coffee mug that said, "I fix problems you didn't know you had." But here's the thing about being in aviation security for nearly 2 decades. You develop habits like checking your phone for calendar alerts, even when you're walking to your car with your life in a cardboard box. And there it was, blinking at me like a warning beacon, a reminder I'd set 3 months ago. Pentagon inspection team, site security audit, Friday 0900 hours, classified. I stopped walking. I looked at the date, tomorrow. I looked back at the building where Bryce was probably already celebrating his brilliant cost-cutting move, and Logan Pierce, his 28-year-old cybersecurity specialist, was setting up his laptop in my office. The only problem, I was the only person at Aurora Aerospace with the clearance level to receive a Pentagon inspection team. Without me, they were about to find out what happens when you try to replace 20 years of aviation security experience with a kid who thinks cybersecurity means having strong passwords. Let me back up and tell you how we got here. Because this story starts with a staff sergeant who learned the hard way that not everything that needs protecting can be put behind a firewall. 20 years in the Air Force teaches you things, like how to spot trouble before it spots you, like how to stay calm when everything's falling apart, and like how to know when someone's about to make a mistake that'll cost them everything. I did 20 years keeping aircraft and personnel secure, from Ramstein to Bagram, before I figured out I was better at protecting things on the ground than flying them in the sky. The transition from military to civilian life isn't easy for anyone, but when you've spent 2 decades in uniform, the corporate world feels like another planet. Aurora Aerospace was different, though. They understood what military experience meant. They valued the discipline, the attention to detail, the understanding that when you're dealing with national security, there's no room for error. 6 months earlier, I was doing what I'd done every morning for 20 years at Aurora, walking the perimeter, physical inspection, eyes on target. You can't hack a pair of boots walking a fence line. And you can't algorithm your way past a guard who knows the difference between a delivery truck and a surveillance vehicle. Aurora handled defense contracts, stealth, radar systems, guidance computers, stuff that made our jets invisible to enemy radar, and our missiles hit what they were supposed to hit instead of a school 3 miles away. My job was simple in concept, complex in execution. Keep the bad guys out, keep the classified stuff in. Make sure when the Pentagon showed up for their quarterly inspections, everything was buttoned up tighter than a submarine hatch. I'd built my reputation on never having a security breach. Not once in 20 years. The closest we'd come was last year when a new employee tried to take photos in a restricted area for his social media. I spotted him before he could hit send, confiscated his phone, and had him escorted out within 10 minutes. The Pentagon praised our response time in their quarterly review. That was before Bryce Sterling bought the company. Bryce was 34 years old and had an MBA from some school that cost more than my house. He looked at our security setup like it was a rotary phone in an iPhone store. Everything was legacy systems and outdated protocols. He wanted to disrupt the security paradigm. He used the word paradigm a lot. I hate that word almost as much as I hate disrupt. In my experience, when something gets disrupted in a security environment, people die. I'd seen it in Afghanistan. Young officers fresh from the academy, full of new ideas about how to do things better, faster, more efficiently. Some of them learned, others didn't make it home. Bryce brought in Logan Pierce as a consultant. Logan was fresh out of some coding boot camp, wore sneakers that looked like they belonged on a spaceship, and honestly believed that artificial intelligence could replace human judgment in threat assessment. He'd never served a day in his life, never been in a situation where making the wrong call meant somebody died. Think about it. Wade, Logan said during our first meeting, gesturing at my bank of monitors, showing feeds from 50 cameras. AI never gets tired. It never misses a detail. It can process facial recognition, behavioral analysis, and threat prediction simultaneously. It's like having 100 guards working 24/7. AI never served in Afghanistan either, I said, not looking up from my incident reports. It never had to figure out which local contractor walking toward your checkpoint was carrying paperwork and which one was carrying 20 pounds of C4. Logan laughed. Actually laughed. That's exactly the kind of human bias we're trying to eliminate. PTSD, paranoia, outdated threat models. AI doesn't have those limitations. Human bias, PTSD. Like 20 years of keeping this place secure was just me being damaged goods. The writing was on the wall, but I kept doing my job. Just last month, we had a penetration test. Some contractors the Pentagon hired to see if they could breach our security. I spotted their fake utility van before it even turned into our parking lot. The weight distribution was wrong for a vehicle supposedly carrying electrical equipment. The rear suspension was riding too high, and there were no tool racks visible through the windows. I locked down the facility, ran their plates through our database, and had them identified as friendlies before they'd even put the van in park. Perfect score. Zero compromise. The Pentagon inspector called it textbook threat identification and response. Bryce was annoyed. You caused a disruption in our daily operations, Wade. The cafeteria delivery was delayed. People were confused. Productivity dropped for 2 hours. I stopped a federal pen test, Bryce. That's what you pay me for. But at what cost? Logan's AI system would have identified them as non-threats through behavioral analysis and allowed normal operations to continue. No false alarms, no productivity loss. I looked at him. Logan's AI system would have let them walk through the front door with a smile and a wave. That's where you're wrong, Logan chimed in, pulling up something on his tablet. My algorithm processes 47 different behavioral markers, micro-expressions, gait analysis, stress indicators. It's more accurate than human observation by a factor of 12. How many real threats has your algorithm stopped? I asked. Well, we haven't had any real threats since implementation, which proves it's working. That was Logan's logic. No threats meant the system was perfect. In my world, no threats meant you were doing your job right, but you never stopped watching for the one that would eventually come. That was 3 weeks ago. This morning, the axe fell. Bryce called me into his office at 3:30. Logan was there, spinning in one of those expensive chairs they'd bought for the conference room. He was wearing a hoodie that said "Innovate or Die" across the chest. I wondered if he understood the irony. Wade. Sit down, Bryce said, not looking at me. He was shuffling papers that I knew were blank, classic power move. We've been analyzing the metrics. I sat. I didn't close the door behind me. Another power move, but in reverse, let everyone hear what was about to happen. The security landscape is evolving. Wade, threats are digital now. Cyber warfare, data breaches, social engineering. We need solutions that scale with modern challenges. We store physical prototypes of radar systems. Bryce, someone still has to walk in here and steal them. See, that's the old paradigm, Logan said, not looking up from his tablet. Physical theft is inefficient. Everything valuable is data now. Hardware is just slow software. The real threats are invisible, malware, backdoors, advanced persistent threats. You can't walk a perimeter against those. I stared at him. 28 years old, probably never been in a real fight in his life. Telling me about threats. Logan, last month someone tried to climb our fence to get a closer look at the loading dock. Your algorithm missed him completely because he was moving too slowly to register as a threat. I caught him with these 2 eyes and 20 years of experience. That was an anomaly, Logan said. The system has been updated since then. Updated how? Machine learning. The algorithm learns from every interaction, every false positive, every missed detection. It's constantly improving itself. And when it misses something important, when someone gets hurt, Bryce interrupted. That's exactly the kind of negative thinking we're trying to move away from. Logan's system represents the future of security. Proactive, not reactive. Predictive, not responsive. The point is, Bryce continued, we're restructuring the security division. We need fresh perspectives. Someone who speaks the language of the future. Here it comes. Logan here has developed a comprehensive AI security solution. Machine learning algorithms, predictive threat modeling, automated response protocols. It's cutting-edge technology that puts us ahead of our competitors. You're firing me, I said. It wasn't a question. We're releasing you to pursue new opportunities, Bryce corrected. Effective immediately. We'll honor your contract, of course. 2 weeks severance, full benefits through the end of the month, 2 weeks. 20 years of keeping this place secure. I'd missed my father's funeral because of a lockdown drill that turned out to be real. I'd worked Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, my son's birthday, my wedding anniversary. I'd given this company my prime years, the years when I could have been building something else, somewhere else. And they were handing me 2 weeks' pay and a pat on the head. The heat rose in my chest, but I kept it locked down. When the alarm bells ring, you don't panic. You assess. You gather intelligence. You make decisions based on facts, not emotions. Understood, I said. Who holds the clearance? Who's the point of contact for Pentagon inspections? Logan is taking over all security functions, Bryce said, puffing up like he'd just solved world hunger. I looked at Logan. Logan was trying to balance a pen on his nose while scrolling through his tablet. Does Logan have top secret clearance? Has he completed his DoD background investigation? I have a clean record, Logan said proudly, looking up from his pen balancing act. Never even got a speeding ticket. Never been arrested. My credit score is 847. We're fast-tracking the paperwork. Bryce waved his hand dismissively. It's just bureaucratic red tape. Logan has system access. He's been briefed on all our protocols. That's what matters in the modern security environment. I stood there for exactly 3 seconds looking at them. I looked at the motivational poster on Bryce's wall that said failure is not an option. I looked at the dying plant on his windowsill that nobody had watered in weeks. I looked at Logan, still trying to balance that pen, completely oblivious to what he was about to inherit. And I realized something important. I didn't have to warn them. I wasn't required to explain that you can't fast-track a top-secret clearance. It takes months, sometimes over a year. It involves federal agents interviewing your high school teachers, your neighbors, your ex-girlfriends. They dig through your financial records, your travel history, your social media posts from a decade ago. Without it, you legally cannot be the point of contact for anything classified above the level of a cafeteria menu. More importantly, if I warned them, they'd just blame me when it went sideways. They'd find a way to make it my fault, say I should have briefed Logan better, should have documented the procedures more clearly, should have transitioned my responsibilities more smoothly. I'd seen it happen to other guys who tried to save their companies from their own stupidity. Good intentions, bad outcomes. All right, I said. I'll clear my desk. I walked back to my office. The hallway felt longer than usual, like walking the last mile. Carlos Rivera, my shift supervisor, looked at me with questions in his eyes, but I gave him a small shake of the head. Stay low, Carlos. Don't catch shrapnel. He'd been with me for 8 years, came up through the ranks from gate guard to supervisor. Good man, solid instincts. Whatever happened tomorrow, I hoped it wouldn't land on him. I started putting my life into the cardboard box. Photo of Linda and Ryan at his graduation from basic training. He'd followed his old man into the service, at least for a while. My lucky coin from my first deployment, the one that had been in my pocket during that checkpoint incident in Kandahar. The stress ball shaped like a radar dish that Linda gave me as a joke when I got this job. And then I saw it. My computer was still logged in. Outlook was open. And right there, flashing in the corner like a warning beacon, was the calendar reminder that would change everything. Pentagon inspection team, site security audit, Friday 09:900 hours, classified, contact W Garrison only. Today was Thursday, the inspection was tomorrow. This wasn't just any inspection. This was a full Pentagon audit of our security protocols for the new stealth radar contract, the one worth $35 million, the one that kept the lights on and paid everyone's salary, including the 200 people who worked on the production floor, the engineers in R&D, and the administrative staff who had families to feed. I looked at the screen. I looked at the calendar event. I had confirmed this appointment 3 months ago, back when everything was normal, back when I thought I'd be here for another 10 years until retirement. Bryce wasn't copied because Bryce didn't have the clearance to know the specific dates of Pentagon audits. Logan sure as hell didn't either. The security protocol was clear. Only the designated security director with appropriate clearance could receive federal inspection teams. It wasn't a suggestion or a guideline, it was federal law. If the wrong person tried to interface with classified inspections, it triggered automatic security violations that could shut down the entire facility. I could forward this to Bryce. I could write a nice email explaining that a team of Pentagon officials would be arriving tomorrow morning expecting to meet with someone who had appropriate clearance. I could save the company, save the jobs, save the contracts. I hovered my mouse over the forward button. Then I thought about 2 weeks severance. I thought about Logan's hoodie, I thought about human bias and PTSD and outdated threat models. I thought about Bryce's dismissive wave when I mentioned the fence climber. I thought about 20 years of perfect service reduced to legacy thinking and paradigm shifts. I selected the calendar event. I hit forward. I typed in my personal email address. I hit send. Then I deleted the event from my work calendar. I emptied the deleted items folder. I cleared the cache. 20 years in military and corporate IT security teaches you how to make things disappear properly. I picked up my box and walked out. Driving home at 4 p.m. on a Thursday felt wrong. The sun hits your windshield differently when you're unemployed. I stopped at the gas station and bought a 6-pack of beer. Good beer, not the cheap stuff I usually grabbed. If you're going to be unemployed, you might as well drink well. My phone buzzed. Text from Carlos. They gave Logan the master access codes. He wrote them on a post-it note and stuck it to his monitor. This is insane. I stared at the message. The master codes, the keys to the kingdom, reduced to a yellow sticky note. In the military, that would have been a court-martial offense. In the civilian world, it was apparently modern security practice. I didn't reply. Replying would be interference. I was a civilian now, unemployed civilian with no responsibilities to Aurora Aerospace or anyone in it. I got home to our split-level ranch. The house we bought 15 years ago when Aurora was still a small company and the future looked bright. Linda was in the kitchen making dinner. Meatloaf, mashed potatoes, green beans, comfort food. Ryan was at the table doing homework, probably calculus or physics. Kid was smart, smarter than his old man. He was studying engineering at State, wanted to work on satellites someday. You're home early, Linda said, then saw the box in my hands. Her face changed, went through about 6 different emotions in the span of 2 seconds. She'd been through this before, back when I first got out of the service and couldn't find steady work for almost a year. I got laid off, I said. They're going in a different direction. Linda set down her wooden spoon. She was quiet for a moment, processing. I could see her mind working, calculating mortgage payments, Ryan's college tuition, insurance premiums, retirement savings. We'd been married 23 years, and she still thought about money the same way I thought about security. Systematically, logically, always planning for the worst-case scenario. But when she looked up at me, her face was calm. We've been through worse, she said, walking over to hug me, box and all. Remember when you came back from the Air Force and couldn't find work for 6 months? We made it then, we'll make it now. That's why I married her. 23 years, and she still had my 6. Ryan looked up from his calculus homework. Dad, does this mean I can't go to State next year? You're going to State, I said. Don't worry about the money. Your scholarship covers most of it, and we've got some savings put aside. What I didn't say was that I wasn't sure how long those savings would last. What I didn't say was that at 51, starting over in the job market wasn't going to be easy. What I didn't say was that tomorrow, Bryce Sterling was about to learn the difference between disrupting a market and disrupting national security protocols. We had dinner that night like nothing had changed. Linda asked about my day, Ryan complained about his calculus professor, and I listened to them talk about their plans for the weekend. Normal family stuff. But underneath it all, I kept thinking about tomorrow morning, about what was going to happen when that Pentagon inspection team showed up at Aurora. Friday morning, 1700 hours, old habits die hard. I made coffee and sat on the back porch, watching the sunrise paint the sky orange and pink. The air was crisp, fall coming in strong. It was a beautiful day for a federal incident. I knew exactly what was happening at Aurora right now. Logan would be setting up his AI monitoring system, probably tweaking algorithms and checking facial recognition databases. Beer Ice would be walking around talking about seamless transitions and digital transformation, maybe practicing his presentation for whatever investors were coming next week. At 0830, my phone rang. Unknown number, but I recognized the area code, Pentagon. I let it ring. 0845, another call, same number. They were getting nervous. 0855. Text from Bryce, Wade. Quick question, Pentagon team is here. What's the security protocol? Logan's system isn't recognizing their credentials. Call ASAP. I stared at the text for a long moment, the absolute audacity. He fires me, insults my career, calls my experience outdated, then wants technical support when his brave new world crashes into reality. I blocked his number. 09 Sigurd hours, showtime. Here's what I knew was happening based on 20 years of Pentagon inspections and federal protocol. A black sedan with government plates had pulled up to the front gate. Two officials in dark suits carrying briefcases with federal locks, the kind that trigger international incidents if they're opened by the wrong people. Pete Williams, the gate guard I'd trained personally, would have checked their IDs, seen Department of Defense, Office of Inspector General, and immediately called the security office. No answer, because Logan was probably staring at his computer screen, trying to figure out why his AI wasn't categorizing them as friendly visitors. Pete would wave them through because you do not hold up Pentagon officials. Ever. For any reason, the sedan would park in the visitor spaces. The officials would walk into the lobby carrying themselves like they owned the building and everything in it, because for the next few hours they did. Sarah Mitchell, the executive assistant, would look up from her desk. "Can I help you? Federal inspection team?" The lead official would say, "Let's call him Agent Foster." "We're here for the scheduled security audit. Where is Wade Garrison?" "Wade doesn't work here anymore," Sarah would whisper, because nobody wants to be the messenger when the message is this bad. The temperature in the lobby would drop 20 degrees. "Who is the current security director?" "Logan Pierce." "Let me get him." Logan would come bouncing out of the back office, probably wearing another tech bro hoodie, definitely not wearing proper identification badges. He'd see two people in federal government suits and think, "Cool, maybe they're here to buy our AI system." "Hey there," Logan would say, probably with a smile and a casual wave. "I'm Logan, head of digital security. How can I help you guys today?" Agent Foster would stare at him. He'd see the hoodie. He'd see the sneakers. He'd see the complete absence of anything resembling federal security protocols. Foster had probably been doing these inspections for 15 years, had seen every type of security setup from buttoned-up military contractors to fly-by-night startups trying to break into defense work. "Sir, I need to see your top-secret clearance documentation immediately. My what now?" And that's when the universe would snap in half. Foster would tap his earpiece. "Command, we have a problem at the primary site. Security contact is unavailable. Current personnel are not cleared for this level of inspection. Recommend immediate Protocol 7, Protocol 7. I knew what that meant. Facility lockdown pending investigation. Bryce would come running out of his office, ready to smooth things over with his MBA charm and corporate buzzwords. "Gentlemen, welcome to Aurora Aerospace Systems. I'm Bryce Sterling, CEO. How can we help you today?" "Mr. Sterling," Foster would say, consulting his clipboard, "we are conducting a mandatory security audit for your Defense Department contracts. We were scheduled to meet with Wade Garrison at 0900 hours. Ah, yes, we had to make some personnel changes. Logan here is our new security director. He's implementing some very exciting AI solutions that I think you'll find, Mr. Sterling." Foster would interrupt. "Does this individual possess active top-secret clearance with the Department of Defense?" "Well, he's in the process of yes or no, sir." "Not technically, but we're fast-tracking the paperwork." And his system access, Foster would turn to his partner. They'd exchange a look that could freeze helium. In 20 years of federal inspections, I'd seen that look exactly 3 times. It meant someone was about to have a very bad day. "Mr. Sterling, you have a facility handling classified defense contracts without properly cleared security personnel. We are shutting down this inspection immediately. This site is now flagged for security violation pending full federal investigation." Flagged? What does that mean exactly? It means, Mr. Sterling, that your Defense Department contracts are suspended effective immediately. It means you have potentially violated federal security regulations. It means you should contact your legal counsel. My phone started buzzing with messages. Carlos, Pete, even some of the engineers who had my personal number. The word was spreading through Aurora like wildfire. Federal lockdown. Contracts suspended. CEO in panic mode. At 10:30 Bryant, my phone rang again. Different number this time. "Wade Garrison speaking. Mr. Garrison, this is Colonel Davis, Pentagon Acquisitions Division. I believe you used to work at Aurora Aerospace Systems." "Used to, yes ma'am, until yesterday afternoon. We've had a significant incident at their facility this morning. Their security director was unavailable for a scheduled inspection, and their current personnel lack appropriate clearance. We understand you're familiar with their protocols." "I was, yes ma'am, for 20 years. Mr. Garrison, we're going to need to conduct a full security review of that facility." We'll also need someone with appropriate clearance to oversee the transition while we sort this out. Would you be available for immediate consultation? I smiled, looking out at my backyard where Linda was hanging laundry on the line. I might be able to clear my schedule. Excellent. There's also another matter. Blackwater Security Solutions has been awarded the Regional Defense Contract Oversight position for this sector. They're looking for someone to head up their new facility security division. The position would involve oversight of multiple contractors in the region. Are you interested? Regional oversight, multiple facilities, government pension bridge, 30% pay increase over what Aurora had been paying me. Yes, ma'am. Very interested. Perfect. Can you start Monday? We need someone in place immediately to begin the Aurora investigation. Roger that. When I hung up, Linda was standing in the doorway with a basket of wet clothes. That sounded promising, she said. Sometimes things work out. By evening, the story was all over the local news. Aurora Aerospace under federal investigation. CEO arrested for mishandling classified information. Cybersecurity consultant banned from federal contracting for life. 200 jobs lost. Facility permanently closed. I sat on my back porch with a beer, watching the sun set over the trees. Linda joined me with her glass of wine. Do you feel bad about not warning them? She asked. I thought about it. You know what I learned in 20 years of military service? Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let people face the consequences of their own decisions. Bryce and Logan made their choices. They chose to ignore experience, to dismiss proven methods, to put innovation ahead of competence. They chose to fire the one person who could have prevented this. But all those people who lost their jobs, those people will find work. Good engineers always do. And maybe next time, they'll work for companies that understand the difference between progress and recklessness. Monday morning, I started my new job as Regional Security Director. My first assignment was overseeing the federal investigation of Aurora Aerospace. My second assignment was writing new security protocols for defense contractors in the region. The protocols I wrote became the new federal standard. They emphasized the irreplaceable value of human judgment, the importance of proper clearance procedures, and the dangers of replacing proven security measures with untested technology. Experience beats innovation when lives are on the line. You can't disrupt your way past reality, and you can't algorithm your way around human judgment that's been tested under fire. Sometimes the most important job isn't preventing failure. Sometimes it's being there when failure finally comes calling, ready to build something better from the pieces.